Miss Blair smiled at the pair of confused diners as she sat 2 plates down on their table. They had both been looking at the menu, not yet sure what they wanted, but when they looked at the plates, she saw them smile in bemusement. "Y'all enjoy," Miss Blair said, turning to walk away before the woman politely called her back. "Excuse me, ma'am, but we haven't ordered yet." Miss Blair shook her head. "No one does. Everyone gets what they want at Blair's, though. That's what you wanted, wasn't it?" She had brought the man meatloaf with gravy, mashed potatoes, green beans, and a wedge of pie. She had brought the woman chicken and waffles with hash browns and eggs on the side. Both looked at their plates in confusion, but both nodded as they began to eat. It had been what they wanted, everything cooked to perfection, and that's how it had always been. "Hey there, Miss Blair," Sheriff Guthrie said as he and Claire, one of the new deputies at the station, came in out of the misting rain. "Sheriff Guthrie, Miss Claire, you two pick out a table. I'll be right back." She brought them sweet teas, and when she sat down a medium-well steak and a baked potato, and a plate with a cowboy burger and crinkle-cut fries, Guthrie shook his head at her. "How do you do that, Miss Blair?" Miss Blair smiled and shrugged. "It's a gift." It was a gift of sorts, too. Miss Blair had never really been sure if it was precognition or just intuition, but she always knew what people wanted to eat. When Miss Blair had come to Cashmere, back in '75, it had been because her bus had stopped here for no real reason at all. She had gotten out to use the bathroom, but when she came back, the bus had gone and she was stranded. No luggage, no clothes, not even a toothbrush. And she discovered, too late, that she had left her purse on the bus, too. She had wandered out to look for help, and that was when she had seen the Help Wanted sign. The diner had been the classic silver trailer with the chrome piping and the soft neon lights. It looked like 1,000 other greasy spoon diners in 1,000 other towns, but this one seemed to call out to her. She went inside, sat down at the counter, and when the girl behind the counter asked her what she could do for her, she asked about the job posting. "Well, ain't you a godsend? I could sure use some help. When can you start?" "How about right now?" Blair asked, and the girl laughed as she dragged the cook out from behind the grill and told him to hire this one right away. "I got a feeling about her. She'll do just fine here." Blair had meant it to be temporary, only until she could get enough money together to get to Boulder. But a week had become a month had become a year, and before she knew it, she'd been in Cashmere for 2 decades. Mike, the owner and cook, had told her that she could stay in the room over the restaurant till she got her feet under her, but her feet had never really taken her out of Cashmere. She stayed, she kept serving the slop, and when Mike hadn't showed up one morning, she and Mary, the girl who had insisted she be hired, had gone to his apartment and found him dead. The bell rang over the door, and Blair smiled as she saw Dr. Winters walk in with Juliet, her receptionist. "Hey, Miss Blair," Juliet said, smiling as she waved. Dr. Winters gave her a head nod and a mysterious smile as the two of them took a booth and they picked up the menus. Well, Juliet did, but Dr. Winters merely sat placidly and listened to the younger woman jabber. Juliet was high energy, always had been, but Dr. Winters... Miss Blair shuddered. That one was a little spooky. When she popped down a beet salad and a chicken salad sandwich with Lay's potato chips, Juliet tittered and put her menu down. "It's like something in a carnival," she said as she picked up the sandwich. "You never get it wrong." "Never," Dr. Winters agreed as she picked up her fork. Miss Blair tried to ignore the container that she was shaking over the salad. It wasn't cheese, that much was sure, but what it could be, she didn't want to think too hard about. It was best, especially in Cashmere, not to put your nose in people's business. Miss Blair had seen some strange things here, but her old manager's death had been pretty common. Michael Downs had been eating his usual dinner, a burger from the diner with home fries and blueberry pie, when the grease content of his blood had gotten to the critical level and his heart had said that enough was enough. He had died in his lazy boy while watching the nightly news, his hand frozen to his chest. Miss Blair had wondered over the state of his apartment when the landlord had let them in. He lived simply, a one-bedroom apartment at the Quiet Arms, and she believed that the studio apartment she stayed at over the diner was nicer than the place he had chosen to live. There was no wife waiting for him at home, no kids to mourn his passing, not even a dog to wonder where he was being carted off to. He went to work, he cooked food for the masses, and then he returned home to do it all the next day. There were no trophy fish or deer heads, no tables strewn with hobbies, and she wondered how anyone could live such a simple existence. Mary had wondered over what would happen to the diner, and Blair had wondered what would become of her home. She had a plan, but it would depend a lot on luck. "Miss Blair," trumpeted Deputy Parks as he and Woods came in with Ellis and Manx in tow. They were all in uniform, but it was pretty clear that Parks and Woods were nearly off, and the other two were just coming in. She brought them all coffee, leaving the pot behind, and came back with pancakes and eggs for Woods, meatloaf and mashed potatoes with gravy for Parks, a cowboy burger for Ellis, and a chicken tender basket for Manx. They all tucked in without comment, all of them accustomed to this low-grade telepathy of hers. And Parks told her for about the 1,000th time that he would happily make an honest woman out of her one of these days, if it meant he got to eat her cooking every night. She laughed. "Freddie Parks, I'm old enough to be your mother. You better watch it with that kind of talk." They talked and laughed amongst themselves as Miss Blair headed back to grab a pitcher of sweet tea. Table 8 was almost out, and she couldn't have that. The bank had been hesitant about giving her a loan for the diner, but it hadn't turned out to be a problem in the end. Mary had invited her to stay with her until everything was worked out, but neither of them knew how they were going to get the cash together. Between them, they had a down payment, but that was about it. If the bank wouldn't extend them credit, then they were out of luck. Mary said they could probably get work at the Biltmore house, but Blair didn't want to work somewhere else. She'd found herself stopping on the sidewalk to look into the windows of the old place. It looked lonely without them, without the people who ate there every day, and it was more than Blair could stand. Mike's service was well attended. The community had loved his diner, and they had loved his gruff nature and his occasional smiles. He was laid to rest at Whispering Pines long before Earl had come to work there, but as she and Mary had left the graveside, a man in a suit had called their names. He told them that Mike had named them in his will, and they were performing the reading that afternoon. He asked if they would attend, and Blair said that she wouldn't miss it for the world. The will reading was the final nail in the coffin of her ever-leaving Cashmere. "Miss Blair," said a robust voice, and Blair looked up to see Monica Maisie, the kindergarten teacher at the local elementary school. She was dressed in her best floral print dress, the one with the tropical flowers on it, and as she sat down, Blair was already setting her usual in front of her. There was a chicken salad, crinkle-cut cucumbers, a house salad, and warm tea. Monica shook her head in amazement, something she often did. "I swear, Miss Blair, I will never understand how you do that." Miss Blair shrugged dramatically. "Just my little gift." The will reading covered only a few things, but all of them were very important to the former Michael Downs. There was a middle-aged man with no hair to speak of, a blonde woman with the look of motherhood on her face, and the two of them. Mr. Wundler, the lawyer presiding over the proceedings, held up a single piece of paper and read out the last will and testament of their former boss. "To my sister, I leave my truck, my record collection, and Dad's coin collection." The woman nodded and thanked him. "To my brother, I leave my life savings, my shotgun, and Mom's cookware." The man nodded, also thanking him. "To my two best employees, Mary Moore and Miss Blair, I leave you the diner. Take care of it, as I have all these years. The two of you are equal parts owner. Make me proud. And it had been like that, until Mary had died a few years later from an aneurysm. Blair had hated that. Mary had been such a dear little thing, but the diner had been Miss Blair's after that, and had been for years and years to come. She was cleaning the counter now, the crowd gone with the afternoon sun, and as she looked over her little kingdom, she wondered how much longer it would be hers. Would she go to bed one night too and never wake up? Would she have a heart attack over her bowl of evening soup? Who was to say? Did anyone ever really know? The bell rang, and as she looked up to tell the person they were closed, she saw who it was. This was a regular that she could have done without. They were dressed in a long coat. The hat, pulled down over their ears, was the fuzzy kind, preferred by guys in foreign movies. And as its wants fell over her like a cowl, Miss Blair shuddered. "Go to the back. I'll join you there presently." It nodded, heading towards the door that led to the storeroom, and Miss Blair went to get what it wanted from the kitchen. She kept things like that for just such an occasion, and Mary used to think she was crazy to order stuff that no one would want. Most of the customers wanted burgers and fries or home-cooked meals, but organ meats were rarely on the table. Blair made a face as she took a plate of livers, kidneys, and a raw cow heart to the back room. At Miss Blair's, everyone got what they wanted. Everyone.
Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's show. If you think you might like a little more spooky in your life, then please feel free to click on one of the videos we have up here. Maybe look at one of the playlists if you're trying to get caught up. I know, there's so many videos on the channel. There's so many series that are going at the same time. Sometimes you just need a little refresher course, and I gotta say, I always enjoy the views. If you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit the bell so you don't miss anything. We upload a lot on this channel, so you won't want to miss a single story as they come out. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click on the Amazon link down there. There's quite a few books in my Amazon account. You can have a look, and if you'd like a signed copy, get up with me through email, and I'll be happy to work something out with you. Also, there's links to my Patreon, and you can become a member on the channel if you'd like your spooky a little bit early. Patrons and members on the $5 tier get their videos 12 hours early. That's in the morning, as opposed to in the evening. Patrons at the $10 level also get a signed copy of my book anytime I write one. Speaking of my patrons, you should see them appearing right now. Just wanted to take a minute to say how much I appreciate all of you. Patrons, subscribers, however you give to the channel. I really appreciate everything you do, and it truly touches me that you have chosen to support the channel in this way. Well, that's enough for now. Till next time, Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.